what we've been doing the last, throughout the preseason and, for years at this point is, a studs and duds. And we do it for each preseason game. We've done it for a lot of games. It's been something that we really like to do. So we're turning that into vodcast form at this point. And I'll start, since you just teed up the Elliot Wolf sort of thing, I'll start it off.
I'm professional host, by the way.
That's right. That was a nice little transition there. Who needs George, right?
No.
But first dud I'm going to go with Elliot Wolf. I don't think he had a very good start to the season, preseason. I don't think it's going to look any better once the season rolls around.
Yeah.
And everyone knows where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this. The offensive line is just there. It's scary. Like it's really concerning. And the fact that you have a rookie quarterback who is more or less hamstrung by the offensive line in front of him. The Patriots didn't want to play Drake May in the preseason because of the offensive line depth. And I have a feeling that is kind of playing a big role right now too, as to why they're not going to start him. And maybe eventually, when he does play, it's because the offensive line looks better. But there's just Elliot Wolf came out, and it was like immediately it seemed like they put way too many eggs in different baskets when it came to Chuck Okorafor, a former right tackle coming in, hopefully playing left tackle, as well as Caden Wallace, a fourth-round rookie. Fourth round? Second round?
Third round.
Third round. Appreciate that.
Right in the middle there.
That's right. Third-round rookie, played right tackle in college, and, Elliot Wolf came out on draft night. He's like, we feel really confident that he can make the switch over to left tackle. We haven't seen a ton of that. And it's not on – I don't want to say it's on Caden Wallace. Again, he's a rookie. He's making a change to not only the pros, but he's making it, I guess, a position change. And so I have a feeling like we already know that's been a big storyline throughout camp. I just can't help but think like that is going to be the storyline, the season-long storyline. We're here every single week talking about, how Vidarian Lowe or Chuck Okorafor or someone is in this duds category because of how they performed in week 1 and through week 15. I think this is going to be a full season long sort of thing. And that's on Elliot Wolf. There's no way around it. Like for them to go about, such an important position like left tackle the way they did, it's just, I can't comprehend it.
Yeah, and I will play devil's advocate a little bit because I do think if you look at the draft, everybody he drafted made the roster, plus an undrafted free agent, Del Pettis.
Yep.
So I wouldn't call them hits just yet, but you see a little bit out of Drake May. People are really excited about what he's going to bring. Jalen Polk has looked awesome. Caden Wallace, obviously, maybe not so much, but in the middle, Layden Robinson looks like he's going to be a starter. And Marcellus Dial made this defense, which is impressive. Jaheim Bell's going to be your number 3 tight end. So I would say he had a pretty good start to the draft from what it looks like from now, but what did he do to set that class up for success? What did he put around them? And it really doesn't look like much right now. And it all comes back to the tackle spot, where if you were able to just go out and find spot starters, or at the very least bring in some guys who could actually compete. A Kellen Diesch was never going to compete for a starting spot. Vidarian Lowe sticking at left tackle is not something I don't think anybody expected going into camp, and that's obviously what happened before his injury. So I would have liked to see a little bit more to, aid in the development of his younger players, but wait to be seen, on the Elliot Wolf train. I'll come at you with another dud. Marte Mapu, and I hate doing this because he's been hurt. He just hasn't played.
Kick him when he's down.
I feel terrible about it. I really do. But it's one of those things where you expected him to come in and really contribute on defense as a versatile piece, and he just hasn't played. And you've got guys that are coming in that look like they can fill those roles. It was nice thinking that one guy could fill that safety linebacker role, but Christian Ellis has stepped up, and he made the roster. Del Pettis, undrafted free agent, he made the roster. Jalen Hawkins has looked awesome as a free agent signing. So what is his role when he does come back? And with sophomore players, we heard Bill Belichick say it for years. The second year is the biggest developmental year. You really see the jump from rookie to second year. You see what these players are going to be. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that out of Marte Mapu. When is he going to be ready, 1? And 2, when he does come back, what is his role on the team? So a lot of questions with him that I really – calling him a dud isn't fair, but his injury has really been a pain in the ass for the Patriots defense.
We sticking with them? We'll
Stick
throw
with
it.
who?
We're sticking with the duds.
Yeah, you got to go with the dud.
I got one more. I'm going Tawon Thorton. And I'm just like, the preseason is behind us. Training camp is behind us. I am so surprised with how much we saw Tawon Thornton working with the starting offense.
Did anybody see it coming?
I truly don't. I've never seen someone go from, is he even going to make the roster,
right,
to all of a sudden he's firmly entrenched with the starters.
Yeah.
And, maybe down the line he loses that job. But certainly going into the week one, I mean, he's going to be a starting X for them. And there's just no doubt about it. And I think it's maybe it's not fair to Tawon Thornton, but I don't have high expectations for him. And I could just very easily see this becoming another one of those, season-long storylines that oh my God, the Patriots have no receivers, and all of a sudden Tawon Thornton is the billboard of the no receivers.
Right.
And so I just, we'll see what Jalen Polk brings. We'll see what Javon Baker brings. They have a lot of exciting young guys. Demario Douglas, I think, is going to have a great year. But I do think that throughout the season, we're going to be talking about the lack of receiver talent they have. And I could definitely see, Tawon Thornton being the poster child of that.
Yeah, Tyquan's one of those guys where he had a good first couple weeks. So you would like to think, maybe he's finally caught on, but it's all gone downhill since then. And I'm not going to act like it's been a disaster, but there have been drops, and his routes haven't looked as crisp. He missed a few days with an injury, and this is the same guy we've seen throughout his first 2 years. He was never given the opportunity to really play as a rookie, and when he did, he looked all right. And then in his second year, he was a net zero, I would say. It wasn't like he was killing them, but he definitely wasn't helping them.
Yep.
He couple healthy scratches. This isn't a guy that you would look at as he'll be a starter next year. He's gonna take that step forward. So,
yep.
Maybe he will, but I doubt it. From what we've seen, it's one step forward, 2 steps back with him throughout his career. But we don't want to be too negative.
That's right.
We've been negative for, I don't know, a half hour at this point. Let's talk about some studs.
It's a long season.
It's going to be a long season. Let's talk about some guys that we're looking forward to watching throughout this very long season. I'll start since you just ended with Tawon. Poor Tawon. Keion White is a guy that, I like to think that I saw it early, but I think everybody likes to think that they saw it early. Maybe it's just that he's a really good football player and we all saw it. Keion White looks like he's going to be maybe the most important player on this defense. And that's a lot for a second-year player who was a rotational guy last year. But with the absence of Matthew Judon and Christian Barmore, no one's going to fill both of those roles. But they're going to ask him at the same time to fill both of those roles. He'll play as a 5-tech, and then he'll move all the way into a 3-tech, which is what those two guys did. And we saw it throughout the last preseason game where he played into the second half. I don't think anybody was expecting that, but they really moved him around, and I think they wanted to see where can we maximize him as a player. And I don't think you can find a spot where he isn't Keion White and he doesn't look like a dominant force on the defensive line. So I'm expecting big things out of him. I don't know what the sack totals are going to look like because he didn't have a ton last year, but he had a ton of pressures. And I think he's going to be a guy who's really disruptive on a defense where DeMarcus Covington has said, we're attacking offenses. We're not going to sit back and keep people in front of us like maybe you saw throughout the middle years of Bill Belichick. They want to attack. They want to take the ball away. They want to give their offense as many opportunities as possible to go score. So Keion White's a guy that I'm really looking forward to watching this year.
Yeah, and just quickly to kind of touch on that, you talked about. I'm so curious to see, how he changes from playing on the interior to playing off the edge.
Right.
I actually talked to him after one of the preseason games, and he said how he prefers the interior because he feels like he's so much faster and kind of create more mismatches when he's on the interior, especially on third downs and those sorts of things. So, definitely couldn't agree more. Have a feeling it's gonna be a big year.
Hit me with the second one.
Oh, moving on. I'm going with David Andrews. And it's not the sexiest pick.
Not a sexy pick at all.
Not a sexy pick. I know he's well known in New England. There's no doubt about it. Patriots fans know who David Andrews is. I don't know if you could go outside New England to any NFL general fan and be like, "Do you know who David Andrews is?" And they would say yes. I mean, certainly not a sexy pick. I don't know. With that said, I don't know if there's a more important player, not only on the Patriots offense. I don't know if there's a more important player on the Patriots team this season than David Andrews. And a lot of that has to do with David Andrews, really good at his job, really good at his role, great captain. A lot of it also has to do with the depth they have behind him.
Yeah.
And it was so clear. I mean, fans who were watching preseason games saw the botched snaps, saw people just get sacked over and over.
Didn't matter who it was either. It was Nick Leverett,
exactly.
Liam Fornadell. It was all.
Yep. Antonio Mafi, that was just a complete failure of an experiment trying to go from, essentially from guard to center. He didn't stick there very long.
He didn't stick anywhere. He's out.
That's true. That's true. He's gone. And then you just mentioned Nick Leverett, and he's on the team. It feels like he is kind of the backup at this point to David Andrews.
Yeah.
But, we saw some botched snaps with Drake May in the preseason finale. So I don't know if there's like a bigger degree of separation, I guess, from one position to the next than there is from David Andrews to the backup center. And so I just have a feeling like the Patriots are already in trouble on the offensive line. If they lose David Andrews for any amount of time or if he misses a game or anything, I think they're just royally porked.
Royally porked is a good way to put it.